So what we're going to be doing today is demonstrating the new Off2Class teaching tools. So what I want to do is just kind of start at the beginning to explain what we're going to be talking about and why this is important to you. So the story is that at Off2Class, we want to save teachers time. That's our mission, and that is what we do. And that mission has been in place since the very beginning when Off2Class started in 2014. So since 2014, our content team has been very busy making lessons, more lessons. Now there's over 1,000 of them. And so the teaching tools are a way for you to organize and plan your courses so that you can kind of get a bird's eye view over everything that's in the library, over all of the structures that are embedded within each lesson, as well as all of the vocabulary that are contained within our lessons. So this is a set of tools that will allow you just to be able to see everything better, and you can make some really neat things with these teaching tools, and that's what we're going to talk about. So who might this be useful for? This is useful for language schools. If you are a language school and you have many students, you have students at different levels, you have different class groupings, you have different courses, what these teaching tools allow you to do is very easily group everyone together and kind of plan out a custom course for individual groups or even individual learners very quickly. So if you've got lots of different learners in lots of classes in different levels, you can very easily put them on custom courses. We're just making it easier than ever to work with the lessons so that you can give these courses to your teachers so your teachers know exactly what is being taught on which day, instead of just saying to your teachers, go ahead and pick something. This is a great way to organize things for your teachers. If you are an individual teacher, what this allows you to do is that it allows you for your students or your groups of students to really professionally demonstrate to them what you're going to be working on, to show them very clearly laid out, this is what we're going to be working on, this is the time frame. It's also useful for a couple of other applications. Number one, if you would like to let your student see all of the lessons that they have access to, you can share it with them. Some people have asked, I would like for my student to be able to see the Off2Class lesson library. There's no way to do that within the platform. This allows your student to be able to see everything. The other thing this allows you to do, and this is for teachers but also for schools, is the teaching tools allow you to put together customized, very professional proposals. So if you have a company or a group of people or someone who says, can you make me a proposal for an 8-week course of twice a week lessons, what we will cover? Now, with the teaching tools, you're going to be able to use them to submit something that is extremely polished and professional looking. So right now, I'm just going to go ahead and show you what each of these tools looks like. So I'm going to go ahead and pop over to sharing my screen and show you where you can find the information on the teaching tools. All right, so what we're looking at right now, this is the blog post that announces the teaching tools. So as of today, this is the most recent post on the blog, so you will be able to see this. This kind of explains in a little more detail how to use the teaching tools. Of course, this is what we're going to be going over now. And this will have a link to the actual teaching tools. So here I am at the teaching tools. The URL here is very simple, off2class.com/teaching tools, but it's easy to get to these from the homepage. So the teaching tools are a collection of documents that make it easier to work with the lesson library. So let's take a quick look at each one, and then we'll go into a little more detail on each one. And then I'll show you what you can do with them and why this is important to you. So the first sheet we have is the general and single skill lessons. So this is a searchable spreadsheet of the 700 Off2Class general and single skill lessons that are organized by category. This includes all lessons except for those that are in the step-by-step curriculum. So that's what's in the first sheet. and we're going to look at it. The second sheet is the vocabulary list. This is a massive vocabulary list. So this is the searchable spreadsheet of vocabulary for all 252 lessons in the step-by-step curriculum. There's over 6,000 terms on this vocabulary sheet. Then we have a couple of tools that pertain specifically to the step-by-step curriculum. We have a PDF of the objectives and the can-do statement. So this is a very attractive document that will showcase all of the outcomes and the can-do statements. Then we have that same information in a searchable spreadsheet. So what we have right now to start off is this collection of 3 spreadsheets and 1 PDF document. Like everything we do with Off2Class, as time goes on, we will be improving things and creating more of these tools, but this is the first set. So the thing I would like to share first is this PDF. So let me pull this up here. Okay, great. So if you have been an Off2Class user for a while, you may have seen an earlier version of this because this document has been in the works for a while. So as early as several months ago, we were releasing this to our teachers who asked for it in its partially complete form. So what this is, I'll just make this a little bit larger. I think that will make it easier to see. It will show you how to use the document, and then it will get into the different modules. So you can see the instructions here. The document is designed to provide a brief introduction. So once we go down, we're going to get right into the lessons. So in the A1 module, we can see the very first lesson, A1.1.1, and we have the objective and we have the can do. So zooming out a little bit, we can see this is 36 pages. And this contains, for every lesson in the step-by-step curriculum, this is going to show what there is. So this is really good for an overview. You can provide this to your students. You can use the search function. So if you want to do Control F, and I can search for something like perfect, and I can see it takes a while because it's trying to find every instance. This will show me every instance of perfect tenses. So I can use this. I can't filter this or really drill down. That's what the spreadsheets are for. But this document is really more something that's designed to be a little bit easier to read and something that you can show someone that really makes it look like a finished product. I would say the thing that you may be using more of as the teacher is some of these spreadsheets. So let's take a look at the lesson library sheet that contains the 700 single skill lessons. So once I click the download button, it's going to go ahead and open in a new tab. Now, there's the first thing, and this is extremely important. This document is view only, which means you are not able to edit it unless and until you make a copy. So what you need to do is you need to go to File, and you'll have 2 options. If you click Make a Copy, this will duplicate this file in your own Google Drive. You also have the option to download it as a Microsoft Excel file if that's what you use, or other ones that arguably won't work as well. So I would suggest if you are an Excel user rather than a Google Sheets user, you can download it as an Excel file. I use it in Google Sheets, so I don't know how well the things like filters transfer over, but for most people, what you're going to do, my head is actually blocking what I'm trying to show, is in File and Make a Copy. This is what most people are going to do. So once I do this, I'm going to go ahead and click on this right now and do it. So it's going to I can rename it if I want, so I'll just write Off2Class Single Skill Lessons, and it's going to put it in my drive. Okay, that sounds great. So it's going to open a new tab, and as it loads, it's the same exact document, but now I have the power to edit it and work with it. So we can see this is the same, but it says view only up here. This is called the Off2Class Single Skill Lessons. Now this is my document, and the view only is gone. So I'm going to close this tab. So now I'm going to be working only with this document that I've now made a copy of. If we look at the bottom, there are 2 sheets in the spreadsheet. The first sheet that I'm on is the instructions. So every one of the tools that is a spreadsheet has these instructions so that you can see what the document is designed for and how to use it. So we've got the introduction, which is this is going to tell you what's in the sheet, and then we've got these instructions. So it's going to show you how to use the filters. But I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate it for you right now. So we're just going to go right over here to the single skill lessons. Now, um, let me move myself a little bit again. I'm going to shrink myself, pull myself here. Great. Okay, perfect. Now you can see the whole document. Okay, perfect. This document. If I scroll, you can see my numbers in the columns or in the rows going all the way up. This has 700 rows because this is every single skill lesson in the entire library. So if we go column by column, these are broken up by what CEFR level. Okay, so we have B1 plus and they're all mixed in. We've got how that corresponds to the way we label them on Off2Class, the category that they're in. Every lesson has a unique identifier. We have the title and then we have a description. The real power of this document, as I scroll all the way back up, is in using the filters. So I'm going to show you what that looks like now. Let's say I'm working with a group of students and they are intermediate, upper intermediate, maybe some advanced, but they're kind of in that range. So I can click on this filter icon. I can kind of zoom in a little bit here so you can see it in better detail. Up on this row, if you've worked with filters before, this is going to be a little bit redundant, but I want to explain this from the perspective of someone who is not necessarily familiar with how to do these things. So if we click on, let me go back up. Oh yeah, it takes a little while. So if I click on this filter here, zoom back out, I can see that every level has a check mark highlighted, which means this is going to show every level. So if I hit clear, now it's unchecked everything. So if I'm working with, let's say, some students across the intermediate to advanced range, I can click on B1, B1 plus, B2, and C1, click OK. And now what it has done is it has removed everything at A1 and A2. And I can use these filters to make these filters work with each other. So I can filter on the CEFR, I can filter on the level. These are going to just be the same information. It's just the way that it's presented, whether you prefer the CEFR or whether you prefer doing beginner, intermediate, or advanced. And then I have categories. So if I want to do categories, what I can do is let's clear. Let's say we just want to pick a few. So let's pick adjectives and adverbs, conditions and wishes. Let's just pick some grammar terms. So if we want to look specifically at the grammar things, we can just choose those. So you can see I'm ignoring a lot of things and I'm choosing only some specific grammar type lessons. I'm going to click OK. So now I can see a lot of things have been removed. And now when I look at this lesson category, I see adjectives and adverbs, conditions and wishes. I'm only seeing these lessons that fit the categories that I've described. Once we get into lesson description, I can also continue to filter things if I want to get specific. Another reason I might filter is if I want to really narrow down. So what I'm doing at first is I'm just removing the things that I definitely don't want to see. But if I want to get really specific, I can get more specific and just look at a very small specific set of things. So if I want to just filter at one level, for example. So let's clear this out and I just want to see the B2 lessons. So now we're just looking at the B2 lessons that are still filtered by these categories that I've set out. And by filtering very specifically, I see that I've got a much smaller set of lessons. So I can take a really broad view, or I can take a really narrow view and look for something very specific that's in the library. So this is how I can work with these single skill lessons. One other thing I also want to highlight. So let's go ahead and go back to select all, okay. And I'm gonna select all, okay. What this is going to do by selecting all is it's going to add everything back. I can find, so if I do Control F or Command F, this will just bring up a quick search. So I can also just find things this way. So if I type in present perfect, I can see that I've got 8 cells that have present perfect contained in them. So by using a combination of the filters and the find in sheet function, I can find really specific things in a way that's going to show me exactly what I'm looking for. So this is the spreadsheet that's going to show me the single lessons. Let's look at the vocabulary list. This is one of my favorites. So here I'm on the vocabulary spreadsheet. This one I've already made a copy of, so I don't need to show you that again. But again, just because it does bear repeating, the first time you open this spreadsheet, you will need to go to File and make a copy so that you'll be able to take advantage of the functionality. Once again, we have the first sheet that's going to show you how to use it. Now we have the A1. So right now I'm navigating along the bottom of the spreadsheet here, and this is showing me all of the vocabulary terms in the step-by-step curriculum that are at the A1 level. So I can see we've got Unit 1, Lesson 1, vocabulary, and part of speech. So once I start scrolling down, I can see that in this one alone, we have almost 1,000 terms. So let's talk about how you can actually use this with your students. We can do this by taking advantage of the filters. If we're starting at the beginning, we're going to go to the filter. We're going to click on this filter icon. I'm going to click on clear to remove all of them. Now I'm going to select just Unit 1. So once I do this, now only the things that are Unit 1 here, everything else is gone. So now I've just got 80, much more manageable than 1,000. I can also filter it by lesson or part of speech. So let's say we just want to see the nouns in Unit 1. Now I've got 75, a much more manageable list, but it's still a little bit long to give to my student. So let's filter it by lesson. Let's just look at the nouns in A1.1.1, 29 terms. Now I've got a bite-sized vocabulary list that I can share with the student. So if you want to expand what you're doing with students, you have a student, they do the A1.1 lesson, then you can download this, make a copy, set up these filters, and you can provide this to the student, both to give them something more tangible to add value to your lessons, and for you to check back in to make sure that your student understands everything that you're learning together. So you can go over this, and before you move on, you can do a vocabulary check and check back in with your student. So these are all the nouns from this lesson. Okay, perfect. Instead of nouns, let's look at the adjectives. Great, we've got 2 adjectives. Let's take a look. Let's see if we have any adverbs and verbs. Yep, we have a couple of them there. So these filters are how you can take this huge amount of vocabulary and really chunk it down. So if we want to look at the B1, it's the same thing. So we've got at the entire B1 plus level, again, nearly 1,000 vocabulary terms. We can start filtering it backwards. Let's start filtering it clear. Let's start filtering only by adverbs. Great. So now I have a much smaller list of adverbs. So I could give this to my student at the beginning of the course of study and have them look at this on their own so that when they encounter these words when we're doing the lessons, they maybe have already seen them before and they've already highlighted which ones that they've had to look up on their own. There are so many things that you can do with these tools that can add texture, add variety to what you're doing to your students, to add value, to demonstrate your expertise, whether you are a teacher or a language school. Let's look to the next tool. So now this is my favorite one. This is the objectives and can do for the step-by-step curriculum. So this is very similar to the PDF, but we've put even more functionality into it. So let's take a look at that one. Here we go. Here, in addition to what I've already showed you, which is the CEFR level, the unit number, the unit title, the unique lesson number identifier, the objective, and the can-do statement, we have an entire separate section called structures embedded in each lesson. So if I zoom in on this a little bit, I'm going to try to see if I can just make this larger so we can see what it looks like. Yes. So you can see some examples. WH questions and yes and no questions with be and other verbs. Here we have a topic, family. We've got a grammar structure, present simple third person, he, she, it, present simple third person singular spelling, the irregulars of have, and be the irregular verb. So in addition to the can-do statements, we have very specific things where you can find the structures. So what I'm going to do here is just kind of show you once again a way that you could present a course to somebody. So if we can clear, let's do only B1 and let's hit OK. So now we've just eliminated everything in the library that's not B1. And let's actually just start with, so we can see even at the B1 level, there are a lot of lessons. So I actually want to go to the unit. We've got units 25 all the way through 36. So this is an entire level. There's a lot in here. Let's clear it out and just look at the first 2 units, because even here we still have several lessons. So this is how you can demonstrate this to somebody. Let's add back the rest of the units. So let's go to select all. So if I see everything at the B1 level, I can search for things specific. So if I go to objectives, I can, in addition to using the filters, I can use the search within the objective. So if I filter for perfect, I see I've got how many? Just 1. Let's clear them first. And now I'll do perfect. Okay, so now I'm going to click select all. And now I've got only the lessons that have something related to a perfect tense in the objective. I did that a little bit quickly, so I'm going to do that again. Okay, so I'm going to go back to clear and go back to select all. So we're going to do that whole thing over again so that you can see really specifically. And I'm actually going to do B1, B1 plus, and B2. So here I'm looking at intermediate and upper intermediate lessons in the lesson library. This is how I can find something specific. If I'm looking for every lesson that deals with a perfect tense, I can go to the objectives, click on the filter. The first thing I'm going to do is hit clear so that we're not selecting any lessons. I'm going to type perfect into the search. Now this is finding every box in the objective category that mentions a perfect tense. I'll click select all and I'll click OK. So now these are all the lessons at B1, B1 plus, and C1 that have anything to do with a perfect tense. This is an example of how you can use the power of the filters and search functions to find a specific lesson that you're looking for, or a specific set of lessons. So if a student were to come to me who says, I really struggle with perfect tenses, this is my answer. Instead of having to try to navigate the drop-down menus, which is what it would have taken in the past, now I can use these, and I can still combine this with the find in sheet function, so which is Control or Command F, and I can get more refined. So instead of just all perfect tenses, I can look for past perfect, and I can see the 13 past perfect boxes highlighted in green. If I see green, I'm dealing with past perfect. I can look at present perfect, same thing. 35. So you can use these tools to really hone in on what you're looking for. The last thing that I want to show you is an example of how you can use these tools to make something like a custom proposal. So for example, when I'm using this, I can, these spreadsheets are mine now. I've made a copy. They exist on my own drive. I can edit them. So because this spreadsheet is now on my drive, this is the Off2Class logo here. If I press delete, that logo is empty. Okay, I could even upload my own logo, and then this would look like a spreadsheet that belongs to you. It would look like something that you made, and you could use this for a project proposal. So let's take a look at what a potential course program might look like. So I'm going to go ahead and load it. So this is a document that started as one of these spreadsheets, okay? And you can use the information in these to make a custom. So if I just make this a little bigger, you can see I've got a custom logo that I've added here, Happy Faces Company English course. This is a sheet that I've added to as the first sheet. So I've got the level, 5 students, 8 weeks. So if a company wanted an 8-week course at the B1 level for 5 students, this is something that I could very easily make to show them. So, and it's going to make this look extremely professional. So once I show you what it looks like, let's click on the course overview. I've made this spreadsheet custom, but all I have done is pasted information from the cells in the teaching tools into something that looks like this. So I have things broken down by weeks. So week 0, we're going to do the placement test. And that's the objective of the placement test. Week 1, so every week there's 2 classes. So if I may be able to make this a tad bit larger. Let's do this. Does this make it larger? No, it doesn't, but that's okay. I can zoom in. So here I can see there's 2 classes every week. Class 1, I have 60 minutes of lesson time. I have 30 minutes of homework time. I have the lesson objective and the can-do statement that were pasted right from the teaching tools. So this is a bird's eye view of an entire 8-week course of every lesson. If you show this to a company who is looking for English lessons for their employees, this is extremely professional. This will make it look like you know exactly what you're doing. This is a way to very strongly demonstrate your expertise. This is contrasted with the perspective that says, let's just learn whatever you want. If you use something like this will communicate to whoever is looking for these lessons that you know what you're doing and that you have a plan. So this is the overview page. We have a vocabulary page. So here, this is just a collection of all the vocabulary terms that are taken from all of these units that you're going to be doing with these students. So you can show them the units that you're going to be doing. You can show them the vocabulary that they're going to be learning. Okay, so here we have 300 terms over the course of an 8-week course. And we have course language structures. Once again, this is taken directly from the structures embedded in the lesson that's in the step-by-step curriculum. So you can use this to make a proposal that really will show your expertise. And the goal of everything that we've done in Off2Class is to try to give you tools that will, number one, save you time, which this will do, and help you grow, start, scale your teaching business. So this can work excellent for you, whether you are a part-time ESL teacher who just teaches 5 or 6 hours a week because you enjoy it, or this can help if you're a language school and you have hundreds and hundreds of students. No matter where you are on the teaching continuum, this is going to help you. So with that, these are available. All you have to do is go to the Teaching Tools website, and these are immediately available. I hope that you have found this useful, and I'm really excited to see what you are able to do with these teaching tools, because the things that I've showed you are just kind of the first things that I thought of, but as it has happened many times in the past with Off2Class, when we release something new and add new functionality, a lot of times users are able to put them together in ways that we hadn't even thought of. So I'm really excited to see what you come up with. And I'm looking forward to continuing to add more teaching tools and add more functionality. So thank you for joining me today. Have a great day or evening wherever you are, and please continue this discussion in the comments. All right, everyone. See you next time.